I was a college student at the time when this happened. I was an introvert and preferred to stay in my apartment on weekends instead of going out like the other guys of my age. Those were the days when I found out about the deep web. At first, it seemed awesome. I could download all my favorite movies and shows, all for free or at penny prices. Now it became my habit to sit in front of my computer every weekend and spend 4 to 5 hours surfing on the deep web. Everything was fine until that one day. So, as always, I was going through various options on a site to select something that I would watch later that night. But then, something strange happened. At the end of the page, there were comments of the users, many of them with some sort of advertising link to their own site or chat rooms. I was about to click on the next page button when a comment caught my eye. It said, "Not all humans are equal, for some of them were born superior to others," and a link attached below. At first, I didn't understand what sort of advertisement it was, and I made the mistake of clicking on it. It took me to another page, which seemed like some sort of chat room with a black video box attached to it. A message popped up. "This room contains a live event, which some viewers will find disturbing. So chickens, stay away." Now there were two options saying exit and enter. Out of curiosity and the urge to prove that I wasn't afraid of anything, I clicked on enter. Now a set of rules came up on the screen. They basically meant to say that once you entered, you cannot exit the website until the event continues, and some other stuff like you can't use your keyboard or mouse until you're asked to do so. This was a bit creepy, but anyhow, I clicked on next. And now the absolute horror begun. I returned to the first page where the video box was. Now, I saw the worst scene of my life. In the video, there was a man in his 50s tied to a chair with a taped mouth, and another masked man was beating him with a baseball bat. The whole body of the old man was bleeding like hell, and at some places, even his bones were visible. I was horrified with the scene and immediately tried closing the window, but I couldn't. Whenever I clicked on the exit button, I just felt a terrible vibration in my computer and the video continued to play. The old man was getting tortured in various ways, and it was disgusting to see how people were enjoying it in the chat room. Finally, a new text box appeared with two options: life or death. I didn't know what to do and sat there frozen. Now, the results of the poll came in. 94% death, 5% life, and 1% not voted. The masked man advanced towards the poor old guy with a chainsaw, and I immediately turned my monitor off, using the button behind. I was ultimately disgusted by the inhumane act I just saw. I decided that I'll call the cops and inform them about this, and just when I was getting up, my computer turned itself back on. Now a message popped up in the middle of the screen. "You violated our rule. Be ready to pay for it, Billy Thompson." Now I went blank. This was the time when I felt absolute horror for the first time in my life. As I was recovering through the first shock, another video popped up on the screen. It was me. They somehow accessed my webcam and now people were watching me. I immediately grabbed my phone and called 911. I was fortunate enough that they showed in no time and took me with them. Later the site was brought down and thankfully, the man behind all of these was arrested. For my personal caution, the cops confiscated my computer and destroyed all possible data that could be used to reach me. In return, I got a new one. Now, years have passed since that incident and I still feel shivers when I remember what happened that night. There are still various sites like that running somewhere in the depths of the deep web, and you can even Google "not all humans are equal," for some of them were born superior to others, to know more about them. But please, don't do anything like I did, else I'm afraid that you might end up harmed, or much, much worse. This happened to me last year. I was selected as a software engineer in a company and was doing well in my life. One fine day, we had a small party at my friend's place and we all got damn intoxicated. We were watching a show on Netflix and talking about random stuff. Suddenly, there was a scene in the movie where a guy sold the weapons that he stole in the deep web. Now, a friend of mine, who we will call Mark for the story, started proclaiming how scary surfing through the deep web can be. He shared some stories he had read on Reddit and concluded that it was better if we never mess with that stuff. Being an expert in the field, I tried to explain that not all stuff in the deep web is creepy. But fascinated by Mark's story, no one was willing to believe me. Finally, I decided to prove it to them myself and said that I'll order some medicinal drugs from the deep web for a quarter of the market price of those drugs. Then again, we shifted our conversation towards random topics. Finally, the party was over. We waved bye to each other and left. My house was just a couple of blocks away, so I decided to take a nice walk. Actually, I was planning how I'll buy some meds and prove it to everyone that I was right. As I got home, I directly opened my laptop and downloaded the Tor browser. Now I began surfing through a couple of onion sites till I found the one I was looking for. At first, it looked like a normal site with tons of drugs listed in it. Some of them were actually banned in my country, but I didn't really care due to all the alcohol I'd consumed. Now, as I surfed through the options, it started getting strange. There were some disturbing images tagged with titles like "Human Flesh for $50. Now I started getting a feeling that something wasn't right. As I was in my thoughts, a message popped up saying, "Hi, want some help in shopping?" I thought it was just a bot, so I ignored the message and continued looking down. Now, another text. "I am asking you something. Answer me." The thing with the bots is that they don't really talk like that, so I was a bit freaked out and replied in the same tone, "Get lost, I'll do it myself." Another message popped up. "No, you won't have to." As I was about to ask the guy who the hell he was, my keyboard stopped working. Frustrated, I tried closing the site, but damn, the mouse was frozen too. Suddenly, the cursor started moving. Now it was adding random stuff like some banned drugs, human flesh, and many more disturbing things to my cart. All the alcohol was gone in a moment. I was shaking with fear and a text appeared. "Want anything else?" My keyboard lights went on. I tried moving the mouse, but it was still frozen. Now I replied, "No, please. I want nothing." The screen went blank. I thought that the guy had just left me, and then a notification popped up on my screen. "Thank you for shopping with us. The package will be delivered to you soon." Now I felt helpless. I couldn't report it to the cops as the site I was using was illegal, and I could lose my job and freedom due to that. I knew if the person hacked into my computer, he would have my name and address, and it would be really easy for him to hunt me down if he wanted to. Suddenly, all the stories that Mark told me started revolving around my mind. I couldn't sleep that night. The next day, the first thing I did was destroy that laptop. I called and told everything to Mark. He helped me shift to a new apartment, and thankfully, I never got any such package delivered to my new house. I still wonder what would happen if the package is delivered to the new resident of that house. Will they report it to the police? Will I get sentenced? It's been a year now, and thankfully nothing has happened. Now I know I would never surf the deep web again. This happened back in 2019. I was a single mother of two and lived in a small town of Kentucky. I had a small flower shop and it wasn't running well. The debt over me was increasing day by day, and I wasn't able to do anything about it. As the days went by, I tried to advertise my shop to increase sales, but the price of putting an advertisement on the local newspaper or even having some posters of mine wasn't at all cheap. I just kept searching various means of advertising on Google and nothing really fitted my requirements. One day, as I was going through various sales articles, I landed upon one which talked about how it's easy and cheap to advertise on the deep web. It was also written that in some onion sites, I won't have to pay even a penny. I'll just have to do something in return for the advertiser, like promoting his products in my shop or something like that. I immediately thought of grabbing this opportunity and searched how I could access the deep web. There, I found out about Tor browser and downloaded it. As I opened the web, I searched various keywords like free advertisement or barter advertising, but couldn't find anything I could trust. As I was about to close the window and call it off, I saw a link saying, "Click here to meet free advertisers." I just thought of giving it a try and clicked on the link. Now, I was directed to a new blank page. I waited for minutes and nothing appeared. At last, just when I was about to close it, an antivirus notification popped up saying, "Someone is trying to remote access my computer." I was shocked and immediately took the mouse, and as I was about to click on "Don't Allow," the notification dropped down by itself. I wasn't really a tech person, but this seemed scary to me. I closed the site and switched my computer to sleep, which later proved to be the biggest mistake of mine. Everything seemed normal that night. I had dinner with my kids, sent them to bed, and returned to my room to go to sleep. Then, for some time, I searched random stuff on Google, watched some YouTube videos, and finally dozed off. My sleep was interrupted by a loud knocking on the door. Someone was calling out my name and asking me to open the door. This was strange as I didn't have any relatives who normally visited me. Also, this was the part of town where most of the drunkards used to roam during night. So, I decided to check who was there. As I tried to look through the peephole, I couldn't see anything. The guy standing outside had covered it with his hands. Luckily, there is a narrow space in a window next to my door. I quickly looked outside from there and I was creeped out by what I saw. There were 3 men outside, all masked. One of them had a gun out, and the other 2 had their hands in their pockets. As I was observing this, one of them saw me and started kicking the door to break it. Now my heart started racing like hell. I immediately went to my children's bedroom and locked the door from the inside. I placed a small table against the door and called 911. As I was informing them about my condition, there was this banging on my door, the loud banging which made me and my kids nearly cry. Thankfully, the police were there soon, and as soon as they heard the sound of the siren, the banging converted to loud and quick footsteps. I opened the door once I heard the voice of the police officers. I told them about the night, and they searched the whole house for a clue. They found a mobile phone right next to my door. It wasn't mine. The next day, I was called to the station and was asked if I tried to access the dark web. I responded yes and told them the cause. Then they told me something that still horrifies me. Those people were part of an online deep web red room and were in my house to abduct me and my children for their next experiment. These red rooms are the servers where live videos of torturing people are uploaded. They found my address and all my information by hacking into my device when I clicked that link to talk to a free advertiser. This hellish incident ended with the cops helping me to leave the town and completely changing the identities of me and my children. I just have one small phrase for the deep web. Stay away, else it will ruin your life.